Michelle is a registered nurse and also a body code practitioner. Her mom was murdered by deadly hospital COVID protocols in November of 2021. Michelle was qualified to save her mom, but the hospital said she was not allowed in to see her mom because it was against their policies. That's just awful. It's just a tragic story. Thank you for being here and for your patience for waiting to come in at the end.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. It's an honor to be here, of course. And I want to say, first of all, I appreciate all of you whistleblowers for standing out because in the moment that I sent off this horrific email, I felt very alone. And I'm just realizing that there's an entire army out there built by God. And I believe that we've all been given this assignment to spread truth. So, yeah, like you said, my mom was murdered in 2021. And before she was killed, she I got hired on postpartum. And during my orientation, I had to give a hepatitis B shot to a newborn. And I will forever regret that. The minute I gave that shot, I felt disgusted with myself. I told my mom about it. I said, I don't feel right doing this. I think I need to quit. I need to go back to being a cardiac nurse because I can't poke these babies. And she said, do not quit. Those babies need you and you're saving them. And so that will forever ring in my mind, her voice telling me that. So she was murdered. I begged and I fought so hard to go be there with her when she was being killed, and the hospital fought me back the whole way. And it was the most horrific experience I've ever gone through in my life. My mom
It,
was my
it,
best.
is this in your own hospital that you worked in that your mom was in, or is that was just a different hospital?
No, it was another one, a local hospital that was close to her. Um,
Okay. And
her location.
are you a registered nurse or what's your
Yes,
uh
yes,
okay,
I'm
so
a
you're an
nurse.
RN and they wouldn't let an RN into the hospital to see her own mother.
Correct. And I kept saying she's dying. I demanded that they don't give her remdesivir, and I just was trying to save her life. And every single interaction was just horrible. And just no, they did not give a shit about my mother. They kept asking me, why didn't your mom get the vaccine? I said, she's allergic and it doesn't matter, you know? And so it was just awful. And so I continued to work after she died because even though I was traumatized by this whole thing that was happening, this whole pandemic, um, I kept hearing my mom say, don't quit. These babies need you and you're saving them. And so the vaccine started rolling out in March of 2021. So a few months before my mom died. And I started seeing these moms come in to deliver their babies, and they're having these horrible circulatory problems like blood pressure issues, like through the roof, these huge clots constantly just coming out of them and or just bleeding out. And like a lot of these other nurses were saying, you constantly hear the code blue going off in the hospital. Things that didn't really happen before 2021. And so I was very observant about these new health issues. And I also remember before the shots came out that I remember thinking this is a bad idea and they're probably going to push it on pregnant women. And so the year before they brought these shots out, I would notice that there'd be like one or two fetal demises, babies that had passed away in utero, full term, every couple of months. So, you know, one or two every 2 to 3 months was an average number, which is terribly sad. You know, if you carry a baby for almost 9 months and then you go to the hospital and you go into labor and you realize your baby passed away, that has to be the most terrible feeling, right? Also, I do believe that God gives us these babies. They're a gift from God. They're love and joy, you know, and for someone to be for someone to lose a baby, I feel like that's got to be the most awful feeling.
So
Um,
it's about 4 a year is what you told me. It
correct.
averaged around 4 a year.
Yes, before March of 2021. So
Okay.
when March of
And by the
2021,
way, just to quantify that, that is not not your personal observation. This is your coworkers would agree that
correct.
you would see four fetal demises per year
Yes. And
at the hospital in total.
correct. Yes. So
Okay.
March 2021, the vaccines start rolling out. Everybody in California is so brainwashed. Oh, go get your vaccine, right? So that even the OBGYNs were talking the pregnant women into getting it, telling them like if you get COVID while pregnant, you're more likely to die or whatever. And so they would scare them and convince them to take it. So a lot of these moms were getting it while pregnant. So in March, it appeared that a mother would come to the hospital and it showed that she had just received the COVID vaccine like a week before. And now she's at the hospital and her baby had passed away. So March we go for like an entire year where I'm seeing these fetal demises. I keep coming to work, 3 or 4 times a week, and every time I come to work, there's a fetal demise. And so obviously a huge increase. And I'm asking nurses, what is going on? Why are these babies dying? Something's not right. And they're like, oh, I don't know. Moms are unhealthy these days, pesticides.
Yeah.
I don't even know
Pesticides.
what else they say.
Global warming. Global warming.
I'm like, and nobody's talking about it, kind of like what the whistleblowers are saying. And so then I'm just like disgusted with the whole medical system at this point because they killed my mom in November. I still go to work even though I don't really want to. And then I went to work one morning. It was September 8th. And I opened my email and I got this email. And I can't even believe that I received this email because the person who wrote it, I can't believe that they even wrote it because all the data is in it. That I believe it's truly God. He wanted that word to get out. And so I happened to read this email along with like 200 other nurses. And so it said, as you all know, there's been an increase in fetal demises. And in the month of August, there was a record number of fetal demises, and there were 22 of them in 1 month. Then it goes to say that ties the record number of fetal demises in July of 2021. So if you take an entire year, an average of 22 fetal demises per month for 1 year, that's just ludicrous. I don't even have the words for that. But what person on the planet would read something like that and not think, "Oh my God, we have a problem"? That's that we're talking about babies. Like I am shaking thinking about like how disgusting that email is and that content. But then it gets worse. So it says because of the increase in fetal demises, we need to brush up on our policies and we need to learn how to handle a dead baby's body. And I was like, oh, hell no. I'm not brushing up on any of your policies. I've been told so many times you can't come in and save your mother because of their policy. I don't give a shit about policies anymore. And so I took that email, I copy and pasted it, and I sent it to a friend who knows a few people associated with Children's Health Defense. I didn't send it to her for with it in my mind that she knows Children's Health Defense. I just sent it to her because I knew that she would want this information. And so by sending it to Children's Health Defense, it kind of took off. And I believe this is public knowledge. They should know this. They should know that these babies are dying in an exponential increase in numbers. And so from there, it went viral. And then my work caught on because I spoke out in the Died Suddenly documentary. And they had a meeting with me, an investigation. And I was like, oh, crap. Well, here I go. I'm going to get fired, or they're going to take my license or whatever. But I was like, they already killed my mom. My license means nothing to me. I don't care because you took my mom. So take whatever you want at this point. So in the investigation, there were like 5 of them there, and they were asking me all these questions for an hour. And one of them was, are you aware that it's a company policy to copy and paste an email, an internal document? And I said, why are you wasting your resources investigating why I copy and pasted an internal document? You guys should be using your resources investigating why babies are dying.
Exactly. Exactly right. What did they say to that? What was their response? Nothing.
They did. They paused.
They said nothing? Okay.
They paused and they said, we're not here to answer your questions, Michelle. We're here to ask you questions on behalf of blah, 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 company that we have to ask. I'm like, okay. And then I said, I have rights as a whistleblower. And, basically, I didn't do anything wrong. I did what I
Right.
have the right to do under the rights of a whistleblower. And after a couple minutes, couple more questions, they were like, okay, you can go back to work.
All right. Well, let me summarize this, because you left out one of the most important parts, which is that there was a day when there were 5 fetal demises in a single day
Yes.
in your hospital.
Wow.
5
Yes.
fetal demises in one day. Okay. This is more in one day than there is in an entire year in the hospital. But the other thing she didn't tell you is that the hospital has been regularly doing between 20 and 30 fetal demises a month. So you've had months where you've had 30 fetal demises, right?
Yes. So pretty much every time I go to work, there's one.
Yeah. So in other words, take the 30, multiply it by 3, because that is the increase. So in other words, it went from 4 in a year to 30 in a month. That is a 90-fold increase. A 90-fold increase in the number of fetal deaths. And they are investigating Michelle Gershman, and they are not interested in finding out what the cause of the 90-fold increase in fetal deaths is. And this is why I said this is insane that we are killing. We are telling mothers to take these shots that have a 90-fold increase in fetal demises. This is beyond unethical. And the press in the world, there is no major media in the world that is ever going to cover this story. You're only going to hear it on VSRF. 60 Minutes will never cover this. CNN is never going to cover this. The New York Times is never going to cover this. Nobody is ever going to cover this, and it's verifiable in this hospital. It's never going to get out to the masses. Nobody's going to touch this story. It's horrible.
Unbelievable. It is. It really is. I have no words. And
It is the most unbelievable story. And I'm saying that it's in terms of the increased rate. A 90-fold increase in rate is astronomical. This is a verifiable story, and nobody's touching it.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even think the Epic Times will touch this story. It's so unbelievable. I mean, this should be front page news.
That's what I was thinking.
Every news media.
When I read it, I'm like, this information should be public. People have to know this, because a mother, I believe a mother is so, like, I truly love taking care of mothers. I believe that they're all beautiful. And the fact that mothers can bring souls onto this planet, a brand new, pure little soul, like, there's no comparison. And then to have something taking that away, I have no words.
Yeah, and for them to cover it up, right? They cover it up. Nobody talks about it. The press won't touch it, and they investigate you.
I know, and they retaliated too, by the way.
Yes, this is even crazier. Well, not crazier, but this is crazy.
So they were mad at me for copying and pasting an email, so they put me on not good standing employee, right? And then because of that, they didn't have to give me my Christmas bonus. I didn't know what the amount was going to be. I just knew that everybody was getting a Christmas bonus. And when the bonus came, I didn't get one. So I started asking, how much was the bonus? And I texted a friend about it, and he confirmed that it was $6,666. So,
and you're the only one that didn't get that bonus. Why did they pick that number? I mean, that is
you can't make this stuff up, by the way.
It's like
you really can't.
money. Never mind.
It's laughable. It's laughable. You didn't
I
get
know.
the 6666. You
Right.
were the only nurse that didn't get the bonus.
Correct. So there's probably 6,000 nurses, 7,000 nurses, or there's several employees that work at this hospital. So a huge amount of nurses received a check for 6666, and I did
Wait a
not.
minute. How many nurses got the 6666 check?
Probably close to 6 or 7,000, because there are a lot of
6 or
nurses that work.
7,000 nurses
Yes.
got
Yes.
the 6666 check, and
Yes.
you were the only nurse not to get the bonus check
Because she
Yep.
spoke out. She
Yes.
was
because
punished.
you spoke out.
Yes. But in rebuttal, Dr. Thorpe, he's amazing. He opened up a fundraiser for me, last year or so when this happened, and people all over the world donated money to me, and it was such a blessing. I so appreciate everybody because so many people have reached out to me, and this has been just losing my mom has been horrible, but people have been really amazing as far as Truth Warriors coming together, and it's been a crazy experience. But people sent me money on Gifts and Go, and I ended up making over like $8,000, and so I technically got my bonus. So
And you
it was
And
saved
more, and more
exactly.
for doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
so much, Michelle.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you for speaking out. This is it's unbelievable, this information. And thank you for bringing it to the public's attention, because the public needs to know. And I'll try my hardest to try and get it out. But the news media, even the alt media is not covering this. I mean, this is CHD, to their credit, covered your story. So bravo to them.
Thank you to
Yeah.
them as well. Yes.
We definitely need to get it to the Epic Times. I think they would run this.
I hope they would, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for all your courage and
Thank
your
you.
bravery. We appreciate you being on tonight. We have David back. So